Part 1. A Letter from Purgatory. I wish I could tell you I had a wonderful childhood, but that would be a lie. The only wonderful thing about it was how hard our single mother fought to provide for her 5 kids the best she could. Every day growing up was a struggle and a battle for survival, and times were always hard, but through it all, she never gave up. At age 7, my mother was taken away from us kids and sent to prison, so I had to grow up fast. I was lost in a world of pure madness, and I became an outcast, too shy to make friends, and I never found a place in school. All the work was too hard for me, so I never learned, and no one cared enough to teach me. I started to run the streets because I had nowhere else to turn. My first arrest came when I was only 10. A few more soon followed. I bounced around in the juvenile system from one place to another. No one seemed to notice me. The school passed me from one grade to the next just to get me out of their class, not caring that I couldn't read or write or even spell my own name. But out of all the haunting memories of my past, none has scarred as deep into my heart and soul as the hunger pains and tear-streaked face of my mother, who would sit next to our bed crying and praying to a God that would never answer her, as we tossed and turned in pain of having to go without food for days at a time. I remember so desperately drinking cup after cup of water in hopes of stopping the pain, but no matter how much water I would drink, the pain was always there. Even today, I find myself desperately drinking cup after cup of water, wishing it would wash away the pain of my past. Shortly after my 16th birthday, I found myself once again locked away in a cage. I was given a court-appointed pretender attorney who was far too busy with his move to a new city to care about a young native kid. After the 10-15 minutes he spent on my case, I was railroaded and sentenced to CYA, California Youth Authority. It was during this time that 2 major changes took place in my life. The first was learning I would soon be a father of my first baby girl. The second was my teacher, the beautiful Miss Kern, with her selfless grace and kindness, deeply inspired me. She pushed and challenged me to become a better man so I could be a great father to my beautiful daughters, and she never let me quit. I started to listen to her with both ears and not just one like I was known to do. There was no question I was a terrible kid with plenty of problems, but this beautiful woman looked beyond my past and treated me with love and dignity that I never received outside of my family. She ignited a fire that craved to learn. I started to teach myself how to read and write. I continue to study today because I want to learn all I can so I can give my children a better chance at life, so they won't have to endure the pain and suffering I had growing up. She showed me through action how we can get things done, and that there are people who truly care, but it is up to us to let them in to help you. I wish I could end my story here, but I haven't got a fairy tale ending. You see, they say from birth we are always learning new things every day, and for the most part we learn from our own mistakes. Unfortunately, this is not always the case. Somewhere down the line, after all the cuts, bumps, and bruises, we can also lose our way. We can forget how to acknowledge or see the lessons in front of us and work through the obstacles we face. If you're anything like me, you lose your way completely. Sure, one can argue it's from the lead paint chips I used to eat as a kid, or the madness and chaos in the neighborhood I grew up in, but in the end, it all comes back to me. Although I wish I could blame it all on drugs, I never used any. I'm the one who built these walls around me. 20 days after my 19th birthday, I'm finally released, and it's time for me to become a man. You see, growing up, I never had a father there, so nothing was more important to me than raising my daughters and providing for my family and being there for them like a father is supposed to. I settled into a quiet life for my family, but this would quickly change. My world would be turned upside down again and then shattered in 2 million pieces. The VPD, Visalia Police Department, DA, District Attorney's Office, was up to their same old games. They needed to close the murder book, and I was an easy mark to help make that happen. So on October 10, 2003, as I waited for my child custody case to be called, I received a call informing me the SWAT team and gang task force just hit my house. This caught me by surprise because I had just seen my parole officer only hours ago. He knew I would be in court all day fighting for my daughter. Immediately after the first call, I got another call informing me other houses were raided and word was out I was wanted for questioning and homicide investigation. It seems so strange to find myself in this predicament. No one deserves to suffer for something they did not do. I am truly innocent. I like to believe I've learned. I can't blame others for my own mistakes. And ignorance is not a defense when you're fighting for your life. But like I said earlier, it's easy to lose your way, especially when you so desperately want to believe in hope and faith. You see, my biggest mistake was putting my trust in a system I knew from experience don't give a fuck about me, my family, or the truth. The BPD and DA's office has a long history of hiding the truth, falsifying reports, forcing people to make false statements, lying under oath, and tampering with evidence. This time would be no different. Once again, like a blind sheep being led to the slaughterhouse, I tell myself, this time they will get it right and I will be home soon. That day has yet to come, but once again, I'm railroaded by the court-appointed pretender. I should have seen it coming. All the signs were there. The first day I met her, she said I was guilty, and when I asked her if she even read my case, she said no, you just look guilty. I guess after 500 years of conflict, natives are still viewed as nothing more than savages and criminals. An ex-LAPD gang task force officer who had done some work on my case was the only person that was honest with me. He told me he didn't know how they would even want to prosecute my case when there was no evidence or facts, and he didn't know why my attorney would even allow the case to get this far. But then he told me in all his 20 plus years in law enforcement, he learned how innocent people become fall guys and that I would soon become one of them. So shame on me, I never suspected the woman, a lawyer who held my life in her hands, would take it upon herself without my consent, knowledge, or securing any kind of approval from me, tell the jury I was guilty. I had made it crystal clear on many occasions that I was innocent and I only wanted to clear my name. I tried to object to this blatant violation of my rights to a fair trial and competent representation, but the judge simply smiled and said, it's her case, she can do whatever she wants. Then with a nod and the grin of a crook, he told her she was doing a good job. At age 22, I was convicted and sentenced to death for a crime I did not commit. It was not that I was guilty or that all the evidence and facts pointed to me. No. It was all based on my childhood past. Although it was only part of the things I had done as a kid, it was enough to make it an easy conviction. Even when somebody is already prejudiced against you and only hears about your violent past and very little about the facts of the case, guilty is the only verdict for them to render. It was no great surprise when they came back with the only choice they were given, and less so when they said I should be murdered. For a time I did feel helpless and afraid, but I remember Miss Kern's words. There will be times when we are lost, feeling helpless and scared, but sitting around doing nothing will only bring you more pain. It is during this time that you rise to all challenges and take action to bring about the change, because only through actions can you make things happen. This is true. This is not my end. This is only my beginning. For over 500 years, my people have been fighting for survival, and this same warrior spirit lives strong within me. So even though I've been condemned for a crime I did not commit, I refuse to fall or crumble. I know I must build my mind so I will no longer feel helpless in understanding the judicial process and bring change to my situation, but I can't do it alone. The same day I was convicted, I was rehoused in the whole lockup unit. I was placed in a holding tank for 4 hours before they came to get me. I was then given a pair of black and white striped pants with a matching shirt, which made me feel like I was in an old prison movie. This would be my new attire till my departure. They put me in waist chains and leg shackles, then escorted me to my new unit. It was smaller than the general population units. 2 tiers with 1 shower and 16 single-man cells on each tier. There were 3 payphones, 1 inside a cage so the guards could lock you inside if they had to pull someone else out. The same for the showers, because only 1 person was allowed out at a time. There's a sink. You can get hot water to cook your food or make something to drink. a single TV sitting inside a metal and fiberglass box in the center of the unit so everyone could see, with the exception of the first 2 corner cells. Every movement outside the unit was in handcuffs and leg shackles because the unit is supposed to be for the worst of the worst, so we were deprived of as much freedom as possible. 30 minutes was all we were allowed outside of our cell each day. One in the unit to shower, the next to walk around outside in a cage. It was always alone, so nearly 24 hours locked in a cell the size of a small closet was the program. 2 months later, I was officially sentenced to death. I wasn't given a chance to speak. If I had, my words would have been, first off, I am innocent. I have no remorse because I have done nothing wrong. I do sympathize for the victim because I know the pain of losing someone you love, but today justice is not served. This case has only created another victim, another mother who is losing her son and causing another family to suffer. I know you need someone to blame, but I am not your killer. To my family, I ask you not to cry. This is only a test that I will overcome. It was 1 a.m. when the voice over the intercom on April 27, 2007, and informed me my ride to St. Quinn was here. I had already given everything away and sent all my important things home. I only had a few things to take with me. I said my goodbyes to my friends, hoping that if I ever see any of them again, it wouldn't be in the prison. I didn't ride the Grey Goose bus with prisoners. It was just 2 guards, me, my thoughts, in a van headed to my first pen. I tried to watch the dark view of the calm starlit night. I knew it would be my last chance for a long time. I had asked around about death row, but no one knew anything about it. It was like it was some unknown mystery world. And honestly, before my arrest, I didn't even know California had a death row. I had seen the names of many of the people on death row on TV while I was locked up, and being the 16th person from Tulare County and number 662 on California's death row only goes to show how much of a reality it really is. However, a crime deterrent it is not.